back to GTD. We are getting ready for NASCAR again this weekend at Las Vegas, coming off the back of Christopher Bell three-peating at Phoenix last weekend. We'll see if we can get another correct pick from one of us as we head into Vegas. Will it be one of the hometown guys? Reddick and Larson usually fast here as well, but let's get right into it. What kind of racing do you think we can expect here, Keegan, from a track that's been pretty good so far in the next-gen era?
I think we're going to see much of the same. I think kind of the last intermediate track we've ran was Homestead last year, which was, it's that race presents itself. That was one of the greatest intermediate track races we've seen in recent history, and maybe ever. It was a great race, great finish, great racing throughout for stages and everything. And I think drivers just love that racing. You talked about how much they enjoyed battling back and forth, not just for the win, but for stages and just positions and running different lines and different grooves. Now, we're not at Homestead, but this is a track that's comparable to Homestead, and I think drivers are going to take that intensity that they learned and just the fun that they had last year and really apply that here, and you're going to see guys that you typically see at the front. Your Reddicks, obviously Bell, Byron's good at Las Vegas, guys like that. If Penske can bring their guys, Gano and Blaney are always here. Hamlin's always up here. Bowman tends to like Las Vegas sometimes, depending on the year. So I think you're going to see some of those just Larson. I don't know how I forgot to mention Larson at an intermediate track, but I think those guys are really going to have fun this week and just try to make it fun for the fans and really race hard this weekend.
Yeah, we've seen Penske be really quick here, but usually on the short runs, though, those cars tend to fade a little bit here. Obviously, Hendrick is very solid here as well, except for Chase Elliott. He has had a rough time as of late at Vegas, but this kind of where your key players are coming into the fold really there. I don't think you're going to see any like Spire Motorsports qualifying performances like we saw last week. I think this is just going to be the big teams at the top, maybe throw a Ross Chastain in there. But with that said, I am taking Kyle Larson to win this weekend. I think your first true intermediate of the year. Larson's coming off a top 3 finish in Phoenix. Looked fast, could have won at the end of the race there if Bell and Hamlin would have roughed each other up a bit more, I think. And we know Kyle Larson loves this place, drives really well at Vegas in general. Last 6 races has an average finish just under 9, and this guy is one of the best, if not the best, overall driver in NASCAR. So I think that he is going to get it done this weekend.
I don't hate that pick. This is the guy I choose to win at Las Vegas Spring last year, and he won. So, I think it's a pretty good pick.
Copying your homework a bit here.
Yeah, but I'm going to go with a storyline that I really think happens. 61 races since this guy last won. He's in his hometown. Kyle Busch isn't racing anymore, so it must be Kyle Busch. I'm taking Kyle Busch. He's going to break the streak this year. We talked about it in our Phoenix preview. We've talked about it multiple episodes this year. RCR looks good right now. They look very different than last year. We've seen Ty Dillon right at the front at races. So, if Ty Dillon were at the front, Kyle Busch can get a win. And I do think he gets a win this year for RCR. And why not Las Vegas? Let's snap the win streak in front of your hometown crowd. He's been on record saying he loves this track. And, he's got the 5th best average finish here among active drivers. So, I think he gets it done.
Yeah, he used to be great here for Joe Gibbs anytime he would come here in the 18. And obviously RCR had a really down year last year, but they've showed speed to start this year. So I do not hate that pick at all. I'm still a little hesitant to pick an RCR car to win at an intermediate yet because we really haven't seen what their true performance is on those. But I'll be excited to find out. Yeah, hopefully.
But yeah, let's get into our dark horses. We're at Vegas, so let's roll the dice a little bit. All right, who are you rolling the dice for your long shot?
Well, I'm rolling the dice with Justin Haley this weekend. We saw him drive into the top 10 in the fall last year for Spire, drove into the top 10 in the spring with a Rick Ware car, which is unbelievably impressive. I think he loves this track, has a fairly solid average finish here as well. 17.5 here in his last 6 starts, which when you look at the equipment he's been driving, that's not bad at all for him. I think he really likes this track, and he really shines on the intermediates in general. That's where he is at home in NASCAR, so I think he could make some noise this weekend for a Spire team that did show some speed before all their cars got ping-ponged into a wall last weekend.
I don't hate it. I almost showed Justin Haley at Phoenix last week, and he was the first name to pop into my head again this week when I was thinking. But I like to go super dark horses. I'm going John Hunter Nemechek. Haven't seen a whole lot out of him. He's run. Obviously the 500 is the 500, and he's was in the mix there for a little bit. But yeah, he's got a 15.5 average finish here, which is not bad for John Hunter Nemechek. Like in the equipment he's in, that's pretty solid. So I'm going John Hunter Nemechek. for my long shot here.
I would be very impressed if John Hunter makes it out of here with a top 5
A
to
lot
get
of
you
a lot
your
of people would.
first dark horse point of the season. But I guess anything's possible. We've seen some pretty big wrecks here at Vegas too recently, so you never know. Maybe one of those takes out a good bit of the field, and John Hunter ends up there anyways. But super excited for Vegas this weekend. Anything else you kind of want to talk about before we wrap things up here?
I know last week for our Phoenix preview, we talked about what constitutes a dark horse because we joked about because you chose Austin Dillon. We've talked about RCR kind of being good this year, and we joked about Ty Gibbs is the dark horse right now. I
Ty
think
Gibbs might be right now.
it was a good shot, but I think we should set a number in the standings. So like let's say Larson is just like last in standings. He could be a dark horse going to the weekend. Now, but that's where it gets like because the viewers are gonna be, oh, you can't choose Larson as a dark horse, which I'm on that. Like that's cool. Like I'm okay not choosing Larson as a dark horse. But should we set like a points kind of like line? Like if you're below 22nd, you're a dark horse, or
I feel like
but if we
let's leave it open for interpretation for now. I feel like we need to get a decent way into the season
I
before
agree.
we set a hard line. But if we
Yeah,
do, I
totally.
think 20th would be about right because that's where your playoff picture usually cuts off. It goes to 16, and you have your 4 right on the outside looking
Yeah.
in. So I think if maybe midway through the season we were to institute a 20th place cutoff or something like that, I would be down for that. But it's obviously the first year of doing this dark horse thing. So I was thinking this during the race, actually. I was thinking if either one of us would have said Ryan Preece, would that have counted for a dark horse for him running up front at Phoenix? So I feel like this is kind of open to interpretation for now, but super excited for this weekend. It's usually great racing. I'm excited to see it. I know you will be too. And next week we'll be back in person at the desk. College is on spring break this week, so we're doing our little virtual recording here. But we will see you guys next week to recap Las Vegas and get ready for another week of NASCAR.